I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Maybe Canada should become the 51st state and merge with the US. I know it sounds crazy. Hear me out on this, guys. Because I think a lot of Canadians aren't getting the real story here on the current predicament we are in Canada. I'll talk a little bit about the tariffs here, how it might affect Vancouver real estate, my local market here. But hear me out on this. I'm not saying that Canada should merge with the United States at this point, but what I am saying and what I think Canadians should consider is we should be open to offer on this because, of course, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, David Eby here will tell you, always that, we're absolutely not interested in any offers coming from the United States. Well, of course they're not, guys. Because they know that if that ever happened, they would be out of job. So, of course, they're going to tell us that it's off the table. I'm telling people that I think I'm at least open to some offers. Make us an offer. Make us an offer. And then I'm thinking at the very least, we should at least open it up to a vote, a national vote, and let Canadians decide whether we want to. Kevin O'Leary has been on this quite a bit, as have a lot of CEOs and economists in Canada. Make us an offer. Let's counter it back. Let's negotiate. And then let's take it to a vote. At the very least, I certainly do not want a pile of socialists like Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh and David Eby here locally making the decision for us, and neither should you guys. So just a few things here that I'm seeing thrown around now. What is Canada worth exactly? Well, it's pretty tough to put a value on what an entire country is worth, especially a country as valuable as Canada. A couple of things here. First off, I've told you guys many, many times, if you've read my book, I am one of the most proud Canadians you will ever see. And I've talked about how great it is in Canada. We're in one of the greatest countries in the world, and we still are. I told, if you read my book, you know that I talked about it on my blog here. I won the lottery when I was born. I was born to an incredible mother and father who were business oriented, had an entrepreneurial instinct in them, taught my brother and I at a very young age the power of hard work, getting ahead. In Canada, the sky is the limit depending on your work ethic. The second thing is I was born in Canada. Us in the United States, probably easily the two greatest countries in the world. But what hurts me a little bit is we have fallen on some very tough times here in Canada the last decade or so. And you can pinpoint that on one thing. Justin Trudeau and his socialist agenda here has ridden Canada into the ditch here. As a matter of fact, his co-alliance with the NDP should have been illegal on what they've done here. So, we should be absolutely thriving up in this country with our resources, our oil and gas, our natural gas, clean water, clean air, educated workforce. We just have idiots running the country. We should be thriving. We should be getting gasoline at 35 cents a liter up here. We should be taxed at a marginal tax rate for everyone at around 15 or 20%. Corporations should be dying to come up here and form and start a headquarters here in Canada. Yet they're not. Money has been fleeing Canada. Capital has. We are one of the most highly taxed nations in the world, and we're in a recession, maybe headed for a depression, whereas our neighbors to the south are doing quite well, one of the strongest economies in the world. So I'm a proud Canadian, but I've seen Canada fall on some hard times here, and reading in places like the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, outside of the Canadian media, guys. Remember, a lot of Canadians get their news from the CBC, CTV, global newspapers and radio. Well, you're not getting the real news there. Those are bought and paid for by the government. We're in a socialist country here. It's hard to get the real news. But unfortunately, some of the articles I read now is Canada might be too far gone, unfortunately. We've gone too far left. We've driven this country too far into the gutter here. And we may have a hard time getting out of this. And at the very least, we should be open to offer from what the United States can give us. Now, some newspaper recently, I think it was the Financial Post, put a value on it. Canada would be in the trillions of dollars, the country, when you add up our resources and everything else. They came up with $500,000 to $750,000 US for every man, woman, and child living in the country. And I think, hey, okay, well, that's a good start. Let's start with that and negotiate it from there. See where it goes. Let me know how you guys feel about this as well. I'm not saying we join the United States. Again, I'm saying that we should be open to offer here on what they can do for us. Because again, unfortunately, from what I read, Canada is in far worse shape than we can ever imagine right now. It's not going to be until we get a change of leadership here that we open up the books, have a look at the true deficits here, and where Canada is standing here now. We need a drastic change of direction here, which hopefully will come. But a lot of the articles I'm reading now might be too far gone, which never should have gotten here. Remember, the Liberals here, Trudeau and Eby here, will spin this to be, let's be patriotic, it's us against them, us against the United States. Don't fall for that, folks. This has been our neighbor to the south. We've been friends for centuries. Decade, over 100 years. We need the United States. They need us. We should be trying to negotiate something here, not trying to throw more fire on it. David Eby, his answer to this is, let's take Jack Daniels off the shelf at the liquor store. Like, that's going to show them, Dave. You know, the amount of Jack Daniels sold in this country is an accounting error. Round it off. That's how much that's going to affect the United States. We need to work with them on this. You know, a few things. Let's talk about how a merger with the United States would impact Vancouver real estate, because a lot of people ask me that, if we did, and how tariffs. Well, I already did a blog a couple weeks ago on the tariffs. Me to speculate on how the tariffs are going to play out, I would just be guessing at this. Any YouTube channels you see talking about tariffs are going to crash markets and the economy, it's just clickbait, guys. Nobody knows anything about this, how it's going to affect. I said that it might, if we do get these tariffs put in place, which I think we're going to, and the threat of these tariffs is going to last many, many years. We're just getting it started now. We've bought ourselves a small reprieve here for another week or so, but they're coming back. Make no mistake about it. It will have an effect already on a very fragile economy we have here. So yeah, that could cause weakness in the local Vancouver real estate market. Now, if we were to merge with the United States in some capacity, that would be probably a boom for Vancouver real estate, for probably real estate in all the big cities, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, all the cities that are close to the US border for sure. And why do I say that? Well, I say that because I don't think a lot of Canadians realize that we have an outright ban on foreign ownership in this country, because I still see people on chat boards saying that Vancouver real estate is high because of money launderers. They're everywhere, even though they're nowhere. You can't buy a house if you're a money launderer. We've got something called FinTrack for the last 10 years, but look it up. I'm not going to explain it to you. But we have a national ban, outright ban on any type of foreign ownership. We're one of the first countries to ever do that. First off, back it up. 7 years ago, BC introduced a foreign buyer's tax of 15%. Later, they increased it. I think it was at 20 or 25%. I don't even follow it anymore. But a lot of people, I don't think, realize that we don't even have a BC foreign buyer's tax anymore. We eliminated it because it got overruled by the federal Liberals who put in a national ban. We're one of the only countries that does not allow someone from the United States or England or Paris or wherever to buy a home in Vancouver or anywhere in Canada. But you know, if you took a camera down to Robson and Georgia Street, let's say, or let's say Howe in Georgia, and said, asked 100 people on the street, you know, what do you think of foreign ownership in real estate? Should foreign buyers be allowed to continue to buy real estate? And they would say, no, absolutely not. I'm against foreign ownership of Vancouver real estate. Well, if you told them that they can't buy real estate, they haven't bought real estate in Vancouver for 7 years. Once that foreign buyer's tax came in, it completely eliminated anyone from foreigners from buying real estate. Why would they pay the 15% tax? They were all in the process of getting their PR card or their full Canadian citizenship. I did tons of blogs back 5-6 years ago on this. So they just waited 3 months until they got their PR card. Then they could buy without any tax. But now, 2 years ago, we put on a national ban on foreign ownership. I bet if you asked 100 people on the street on Robson Street here what you think about foreign buyers, I guarantee that 95% of those 100 would have no clue that we have a foreign buyers ban in place. They would think that, yes, foreigners are still allowed to buy. They might still have to pay a tax, which they don't. But yeah, I'm against that and I don't like it. And yeah, they shouldn't be allowed to buy. Guess what, guys? The NDP and the Liberals like it that way. They don't want Canadians knowing that there's an outright ban. The reason why is because they like to perpetuate that boogeyman that's out there. So back to my point. If we merge with the United States, if you're a homeowner in Vancouver, in the Lower Mainland, it's going to be pretty good news for you, because now people from the United States can come back up here now and start buying properties again. I know it was horrible to have a second home up here in Yaletown if you lived in Portland or Seattle or California, maybe a place up in Whistler that you used or their family used. I ended up selling multiple homes back when that foreign buyers tax came in, when the empty homes tax came in, and then when the outright ban came in. You know, a lot of disgruntled Americans, and for good reason. I mean, they'd owned these homes for 10 years, used them, paid the property taxes, paid the maintenance fees, were good for the economy, and were forced to sell because we kicked them out. So that would bring them back in. Now, of course, in Vancouver, we have more renters now than we have owners. So, of course, the renters are pretty short-sighted. They absolutely would not want something like that because, of course, if you listen to the NDP, that's why the prices have gone up so much, which is a myth. But if we did merge with the United States, yes, if you own a home in Yaletown or West Side or East Side or wherever, probably be a pretty good news for you because it would open up another 250 million potential buyers. I would say tens of thousands that did own in Vancouver that were forced to sell because of the empty homes tax and because of the outright ban on foreign ownership of real estate that we currently have in place. But of course, as I said, most people have if you ask 10 people on the street, 9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10 would have no idea that we have a foreign buyers ban federally on all real estate here. And that's the way the NDP like it. So I certainly, moving forward, do not like our team that we've got in place negotiating for us. Because again, remember guys, these politicians, I've told you guys, don't trust them. They're not your friend. Do what I learned when I was a young guy just starting out. My parents taught me, my mentors taught me, distance yourself as much as possible from any reliance on the government. It'll be the best thing you ever did. Thank God I listened to them. You guys should do the same thing. But these politicians like Trudeau and Doug Ford, I'm a conservative, and Doug Ford is a moron, this guy. An absolute moron, talking tough and everything else. We have very little bargaining power here, guys. The power is with the United States here. They need us. We need them more than they need us. But I think we can come to a mutual agreement. The only person that I feel good about who's on our side is Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta. She is a very smart woman. She knows business. She's an incredibly good negotiator, unlike Doug Ford, who wants to stir up trouble, throw gas on the fire. Oftentimes when I hear her talk and negotiating, and when she was down in Washington a couple weeks ago, I just can't help, maybe you guys are the same. Why can't we have a premier like her in BC here? Compare her to David Eby here. David Eby, everything is tax, stifle everything. Quickly, guys, one final thing here. I know I'm rambling on here. Again, quick in a nutshell here. I tweet this out from time to time, especially for my young viewers. I know most of you guys are in tune with what I'm saying, my subscribers that I've got here. We're all kind of in the same mindset here. And I'm always trying to convert some people from the dark side over to, less taxes, pro-business, buying your first home. You can do it. I think the opportunities are still there. as I've often said here, to buy your first home, get out of that renter treadmill. But, you know, socialism and capitalism in a nutshell. Capitalism, which we used to be ruled under here in Canada, because we either had the Conservatives, which were a right-of-centre party, or the Liberals. The federal Liberals used to be a right-of-centre party. They weren't all the way over to the left, affiliated with the NDP. So we were always pretty well governed. You know, taxes were moderate, pro-business, will stay out of your way, do your own thing. The sky's the limit if you want to work hard. But now we've gone all the way over to the far left here. The Liberals have completely shifted. So that's how we've gotten into this trouble. But remember, guys, capitalism, in a nutshell, shares the wealth with millions and millions of people. Smaller government, less taxes, we won't get in your way as much. Do your own thing, work hard, good things will happen. Socialism is the reverse. Socialism is only the people in power and their buddies and their friends that they give contracts to, they make all the money. Everybody else is held down and kept in their kind of cocoon that you need us for things. Don't fall for it, guys. We need to shift back to a more business-friendly, less taxes, less government approach here. And again, in Canada, with our resources, you know, we're like a supermodel up here in Canada, and Vancouver especially. I've done blogs, you know, Detroit, you know, old industrial town is not a supermodel. Vancouver is, yet we've got an economy far worse than Detroit. We should be booming here, but we're held back with inept leadership at all levels. That's my warning to you guys. So again, finally, before you send me a bunch of bad comments here, all I'm saying, guys, is we should be negotiating with the United States. We should be trying to, but of course, we're not going to do it with our current government, unfortunately. We need a major change. We need to call an election, or we need to move Danielle Smith up to our main negotiator, not David Eby or Trudeau or Doug Ford. They're going to get us into more trouble. But we should at least be open. That's all I'm asking. Make us an offer. Make us some offers we can't refuse. You know, let's negotiate things. And at the very least, I certainly don't want a group of socialists making the decisions for us, and either should you guys. At the very least, as Kevin O'Leary would say, and I even see now a lot of CEOs, this Toby Lutke, the CEO of Shopify, has been on this quite a bit on his X feed, saying that we've got bad people in government here right now. We don't know what we're doing as far as negotiating. He's basically echoing what I'm telling you guys, as are a lot of these high-level CEOs. These guys are smart people. They're business people. That's what we should be treating Canada like, a business. But at the very least, we should be taking this to a vote down the road. Let Canadians decide what's best for us. Don't allow these politicians, these socialist politicians, to make decisions for us. That's at the very least. But again, final things. We're in a bit of trouble here, guys. I do think, I want to finish on a positive note. I do think we can turn the corner here. We've got so much potential here in Canada. I haven't given up hope, and I hope Canada can stay a sovereign nation here and move forward. But to do that, we've got to make drastic changes here in leadership at all levels here, provincially and federally for sure. We've got to cut taxes. We've got to stimulate business. We've got to start pumping more oil and gas. Get rid of the carbon tax. This is where we need to go here, but we'll see where it goes. We definitely, at the very least, should be open to offer here from the United States, because we're in trouble. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.